Hi, it's Mark Owen from Moose Marketing and PR, the editor of Punchline magazine, and welcome to Punchline Talks, the big interview. Today I'm joined by Julie Kent MBE, who's got so many job titles. I started to write them down, but you know what? I've actually given in. Julie, welcome to Punchline Talks. Thanks for joining us. Give us your job titles, please, because I think I've got down to 5. You're the Vice Chair
of the Pied Piper Appeal.
Okay.
Chairman of Cheltenham Open Door. Trustee of Goals Beyond Grass, Junior Warden of the Honourable Company of Gloucestershire. Obviously, I got my podcast and now I've got my radio show.
Gosh, it's all going on. Let's start at the very beginning. How long have you been involved with the Pied Piper Appeal?
Well, that's a funny one, really, because Pied Piper is 30 years this year, and we had our first daughter 30 years ago. And when she was about 2.5, we found out she had a brain tumour. And we had about 6 months of treatment in Bristol and Gloucester, old hospital. And when she died, we started the Emily Kent Trust, and we raised money for children with cancer in Gloucestershire. And Pied Piper approached us when the hospital was nearly ready, the new children's unit, and said, you know, did we want to contribute? And we said, well, if they...
This was with Peter Hickman, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. And we said, well, you know, what would it cost to have the children's cancer unit called the Emily Kent unit? And they said 50,000, or that's how it sort of went. I mean, it might have been, we'll give you 50,000, will you name the, you know, the cancer unit? And we did the same in Bristol as well. So they were building a new children's hospital in Bristol, and we gave them 50,000, and the day beds there was called the Emily Kent unit. So being involved with Pied Piper, you know, for a long time, but only became a trustee about 7 or 8 years ago.
How did you raise that first 50k? And how did that start like that? You know, were you sort of, obviously it must have been a very traumatic time, and you didn't know what to do next.
Yeah, it was in the 90s. It was 95 when she died. And I was teaching, oh gosh, I was teaching 60 pupils a week. I was teaching flute, clarinet and saxophone then. I was teaching at different schools. And then I'd come home and do another 3 hours. You know, people would come round, mums would sit in the kitchen. I'd give them a half-hour lesson, off they went. And I think when she died, there were a lot of people that were very shocked that they knew someone that this had happened to. And so we found it difficult to get her scanned to see how the chemo was going. Because she was young, she had to be anaesthetized to go through the MRI scanner. And at Bristol, you couldn't get a slot to get her scanned to find out if that treatment had done anything or not. And so initially, I remember at the funeral, we said the collection is going to go towards anaesthetic equipment at the BRI so that children can be scanned quicker, so that you sort of know how the treatment is going. And we just had masses of support, really, you know, and so we did barn dances and balls and flipping everything that we possibly could. And we ran the charity for about 7 or 8 years. And then we didn't have any other children at the time. I think it also gave me a focus, certainly, because she died in the June, and I then had an 8-week holiday ahead of me, and it gave me something to focus on. And then we had a son, then we had a daughter, and 7 years in, I just felt it was difficult to move on. You know, we'd have an auction and there'd be this amazing picture of her on the screen, and I just felt it was hard, and we needed to focus on the 2 children we had. And so we closed the charity at that point, but we raised about 400,000 in 6 or 7 years.
Wow. And that must have been quite a big choice, quite a big decision to do at that particular time. Or you just thought, no, we've got to move on for the sake of the children.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. It's quite common if you lose a child, you want to set something up in their name. And I also know that people then find it very difficult to close it down because they feel like they're losing that and they're letting that child down, and etc., etc. But for us, we just felt that was the right thing to do, really. And we then moved into a boarding house at Dean Close, and I had 60 girls, teenage girls, that I had to look after day and night. So, you know, my attention was sort of thrown to that and the 2 children that we
So what are you doing at the boarding school then? You were
I was a boarding house mistress, yeah, for 20 years at Dean Close. So we lived in the building with 60 of them in term time. We rented out our house in Hucklecote and moved in fully. So it was pretty, well, you know, because you went to boarding school, so you know that it's pretty full on, really.
It's full on. Did they have wild pillow fights like we did?
Yes,
And
whoa.
I mean, you know, there was nothing like a kid pillow fight and then actually just smacking someone when they're asleep. To hit someone over the head with a pillow is quite satisfying when you're a kid.
I think that's a boy thing, to be honest, because
Oh,
we moved into this new purpose-built boarding house in Cheltenham, and I know the boys' houses, they were banned from using the lifts. But girls, you know, the boys' idea of fun is to jump up and down in a lift until it doesn't work anymore. But girls' idea of fun is to sit around chatting about boys, looking at magazines, taking selfies. You know, girls are different. So
yes, on that front, I would imagine they are. That must have been a big job. I do look back and think about our poor teacher hearing us all pillow fight at 2-3 in the morning in a young family. And you know, when you've got 60 girls, I mean, we had 100 boys, you know, on
gosh,
two.
that's a big boarding
Well, and it's
house.
a military boarding school as well, so there's
Yeah.
lots of stuff going on. But yeah, I don't know very much about Dean Close School. So how big was it then, and how many kids were overall there?
So it goes from year 9, so it goes from 13-year-olds to 18-year-olds. And there was, when I was there, it was about 280 boarders and 200 days. So there were 6 boarding houses, a couple of sixth form ones only. And we had quite a few military families as well. Obviously, the military families moved around. So a lot of them spent more time with me from the age of 13 to 18 than they did with their own parents.
Yes, yeah, I was going to say probably officers' children, were they?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I loved that you woke up in the morning and you never knew what was going to happen that day.
Yeah. And so how long did you do that for? 20 years?
Yeah, only retired in the summer of 2020.
Wow, so you've retired since I've known you anyway. But so you got to, how did you get involved with the Pied Piper then, going back? So you closed the charity, you got the job at Dean Close School, then what happened?
While I was at Dean Close, I was in charge of community action, so on a Wednesday afternoon, the pupils could either do CCF or they could do community action. And when I first took it on, they used to call it granny bashing. And the sixth one would go to old people's homes, you know, and some of them wouldn't go to, they'd go into town instead. But I kind of broadened it to, they would go to charity shops, they might go to schools and listen to children read, they might form their own groups and their own little charities. And so that sort of grew really, and they would come to me and say, can we do this, can we do that? And the school was a great facility to use to have events, because you know the massive fields and all the function rooms and everything. So we raised a lot of money for a lot of different charities. And when I first gave up the Emily Kent Trust, the first probably major thing I did was I ran the London Marathon in aid of Clic Sargent, and I got to 50 and I thought, right, I need to do something different and a challenge, and thought, you know, I'll run the London Marathon. And
as you do, I think it's quite a passage because I ran the London Marathon, I was 49 as well. You think, oh my goodness, I'm too old for this.
Oh, never again. And people said, you'll run down the Mall and you'll think, oh, I want to do it again. I did not think I wanted to do it again at all. No. But, you know, a sixth former started to make a film about me doing 1 mile, 2 miles. And my son used to ride a bike with a little stopwatch that had physics lab on it. And he would make me walk 1 minute, run 1 minute. And then, you know, I don't know if I ever really thought I would actually do it. I remember coming out of chapel one morning and the PE teacher said, are you going this weekend to do it? And I said, yeah. I said, I thought I'd get injured or something would happen and I wouldn't actually have to run 26 miles. But yeah, I raised 12,500 for Clic Sargent.
Oh, wow, that's
halfway round when I hit the wall, I thought, I've got to keep going because of all this money. crazy.
What was your time?
Just under 5 minutes at 5 hours.
Yeah.
So 4 minutes 57, I think.
That's very good, because the first time I rang it, I actually did it in, I think it was 5 hours and 20 minutes. That's the first time. I actually ran it 4 times. So I knocked an hour and 20 minutes off the other time. But the first time was 5 hours, because when I went to a bar, let me tell you this, went to a bar at the end, I had my medal at Paddington Railway Station. And the guy said, "Oh, you've done the London Marathon?" I said, "Oh, yes, I've done that." He said, "How fast?" I said, 5 hours, 20 minutes. He said, "Oh, do you run around twice?"
Cheeky.
Man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so no, I think it's an amazing thing to do. Well done, well done. So you thought, I'm never going to do this again. The
Yeah,
physical
absolutely.
side of that running side. So okay,
Yeah.
so you run your London Marathon. Then what was next after that?
And then you just got to, you know, whatever was happening at school. I probably ran about 4 or 5 pink dinners for breast cancer, because we all know someone, don't we? Aunties, mums, grannies that have had breast cancer. And I have to say, you know, I've got 2 friends at the moment that have got through breast cancer, and for the next 10 years, you know, they'll have to take medication. But we've come such a long way with breast cancer. And the 6th form girls loved, they'd say, "Mrs. Kent, we need to do another pink dinner," because they would do all the raffle. We even got the rugby team to be the waiters, and all these ladies went mad and dressed up in pink. And we used to raise about 11, well, we used to raise a lot of money, quite a few £1,000s. And so, you know, I just lurched from one fundraising event to another, really, until Nick Brodie came to see me and he said, "You know, would you become a trustee of Pied Piper?" And I said, "I haven't got time. I'm running a boarding house. I'm doing, you know, all these things. I haven't got time." And he said, "Just come to 3 meetings a year." And that somehow went terribly wrong, because
Well, he does that, doesn't he? You come to 3 meetings. That's why.
yeah, now I do all the social media and help run. Well, I got them into starting a shop, really, because, you know, charity shops are so big. And I took it to the trustees and said, "We really need to open a shop." And it took me about 3 meetings to convince them. But, you know, the first shop did so well that we've now opened a second shop.
How long ago was that when the first shop opened?
I think 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think I remember writing a story about that. So
Yeah.
yes, around 4 minutes. So that must have been quite a big thing suddenly to open a shop, because let's be honest, as a charity, and you've suddenly got a lot of overheads, you've got a lot of people, you've got to pay for managers. It's a different ball game, isn't it? It's, you know, than the normal run-of-the-mill charity. Because the thing about the Pied Piper, you guys don't take any payment whatsoever.
No.
I think it's really important to get that across.
We have 2 girls in the office. So we have the office manager, and she does all the invoicing and everything. And we've got a young girl that came as an apprentice, actually, and then she did her level 3, and now she's a sort of assistant to our fundraiser. But we lost our fundraiser just before COVID, and so I have become the fundraiser. Later on in the year, we will have to take on a fundraiser. But because we lost 200,000, there was no way we were going to start paying another salary, really. So yeah, and then when we opened the shop, we had 1 full-time paid manager, and then we pay someone just for 3 days a week, and the rest is run by volunteers, because again, you know, you want to keep the costs down. And we're lucky with business rates, you know, we get a reduction on our business rates, but the rent is expensive.
Where are the 2 shops now then? So
the first, yeah, the first one is in Court Road on Brockworth, which is fantastic, because people walk their children to school backwards and forwards, and they quite often come in twice a day. And we took a long time to find another site for our second one, and it's now in Silverdale Parade in Hucklecote. And there are 2 others. It's quite good if there are others, because people do like to visit a couple of charity shops. I know my mum and her sisters used to do the Bath Road in Cheltenham. You know, they could have coffee, they could have lunch, and they could do those 6 charity shops. It's a day out.
No, it is. Lots of people go there. It's value for money. It's recycling. It's everything.
Absolutely.
You know?
I went to Tewkesbury last week with my bridesmaid of 31 years ago, and we did Tewkesbury, and we had stopped and had coffee and did all the charity shops. It was great fun.
Ledbury's great, by the way, as well. Charity. Would you believe it?
Yeah.
This is where I got this shirt from.
Well,
5 years ago. £2.99. never think that, though, would you? You stick something fancy on top of it, Julie. A bit like cherry on a cake. It looks a lot nicer. It really is. So you've been involved. I mean, so you got involved obviously with the first chairman, Peter Hickman. Then it was Roger Head.
Yes.
That's 10 years, and now we got old Nick Brodie. I should say.
Yeah.
Brodie,
actually, when Roger was the chairman, his daughter was at Dean Close, and I was her sixth form mentor. She's hilarious, and we used to have great fun together, because if you in sixth form you could choose the member of staff that was your mentor. So I used to take mine out for lots of coffees, and we'd always go out for a meal once a term. And yeah, I used to get all the naughty boys usually.
That leads us very nicely to Roger Head, because from Roger Head obviously we have the motor show. Let's talk about that for a little bit. How long ago did that start off, and whose idea was that? Was that Nick's?
It was Nick's. Actually, it was Nick's idea, and I think it was.
Well, as a car dealer, that helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, and he had all the contacts, didn't he? I think it was about 11 or 12 years ago, and I think it was fine to start with, because lots of new cars were there. But certainly the last one we had, which was before lockdown, the car dealerships were struggling to staff a stand on a Saturday and Sunday and staff their showrooms as well. So less of them could manage to come. And so then we had the lockdown, obviously, and we decided last year just to have classic cars, see how it was, because people weren't really confident in coming out. But it was a real success. Over 200 classic cars, bit of food, walk the beautiful gardens, and it was very successful. We made about £11,500 in one day. Didn't have to put all those marquees up, didn't have to have security. So this year we've kind of gone a step. This year it's June the 12th, and we've got lots more children's entertainment this time. Gardens will be good. More trucks again. The trucks were really popular last year. So same again, just one day, and we'll see how it goes, really.
I always think it's great. I always try and come along to that. And as you know, I'm one of the sponsors as well. You get lots of great companies sponsoring. You got to, not on here, but you got to thank them for it, isn't it? I always think the charities. There's so many business people in Gloucestershire are so generous to all the charities. I was talking to Talitha Nelson, from the Gloucestershire Charity Foundation Trust. And she was saying during lockdown that 50% of the charities might actually go under, especially the smaller ones. And Pied Piper itself is quite, it's a well-run charity. It's financially secure, isn't it? The legacy of what you guys have done in the past. You've also got the golf days. What else have you got bubbling away for this year?
Well, we've got the Walk for Wellbeing, which is in May, and we tried it out last year, mostly done virtually. But this year it starts, and the first Sunday will be the 8th. I want to say, yes, it is the 8th. And Gloucester City Football are going to walk 30 laps of their pitch. So they're going to hopefully get families, and they might do it as a relay. So, Granny might do a lap, and then a child do a lap. But you can walk on the outside of the Meadow Park pitch. So they're going to start on Sunday the 8th. On the Friday night, we did this last year. We did a night walk from Water Coolers Direct on the Barnwood Business Park. And we walked all the way down through Aberdale, and then we came back up Pucklecote Road, and then we all had hot chocolate at the end of it. And then Sunday the 15th will be the last walk, and it will be a 5k walk around Hynham, and we will finish off by having a big tea, which will be the celebrations, because it was in May that Pied Piper started, so it'll be 30 years. And we'll all the trustees are going to serve all the teas to all the volunteers, and we're doing boards, the history of Pied Piper and everything. So yeah, that's quite big.
How many people are on the board of trustees?
12, actually. 12 on the board of trustees, and then I chair the promotional board, which is more of an ideas, talking about events. And some, I have a lot of people come to me say, well, I'd like to be a trustee of Pied Piper, and I say, well, you come on the promo board, prove yourself, and then we might get you your next step up, because a lot of people just want to be trustees to put it on their CVs, don't they?
Yeah, no.
We need people of action. We need doers.
We need action people. That's what Judy likes. Action people. You need an action man. That's what it is. So you've got these other hats that you wear. You're chairman of Open Door. You're trustee of goals. I can't read my own writing.
Beyond
Goals beyond
grass.
grass. I put gods. I said gods beyond grass, but it's goals beyond grass. And obviously you're a junior warden of the Honourable Company of Gloucestershire. Now we haven't got.
Yeah, you said it.
I practice really. Chairman of Open Door. How long have you been doing that for, Judy?
Only about 2.5 years, actually. And again, I got involved. A pupil at Dean Close said, "Oh, can we raise money for Cheltenham Open Door?" And I'd never heard of it.
What is
so we looked it up.
What is it then first? Because some people might not know. Sorry to butt in.
Right. It's well, it was a house on Grosvenor Street, where the restoration is on the corner in Cheltenham, and we welcome anyone that wants company, a hot meal, help, nothing, just a smile, whatever. And so we were serving a hot meal Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and a breakfast on a Sunday. And they could come in, have a shower, have some clothes, and COVID hit. And so we put the plastic thing up at the door, and we still made hot meals. When they all went into hotels, we delivered to hotels or people that were shielding. We went and fed them and took food parcels. And once we reopened, we could see that actually, instead of feeding 45 people a day, we were feeding 70 in the pandemic. People were losing their jobs, people couldn't make ends meet. And so I did a sort of brainstorming with the 3 members of staff, and we decided that we needed to have bigger premises. And we've moved to Allstone Lane. There's a couple of business parks at Allstone Lane, but this is quite a small one, St George's Business Park. And we actually now back onto P3, which is where we send our guests to go for accommodation help. And it was a marketing suite, and the boardroom is now a commercial kitchen and the big serving hatch. And Rosie, she was our chef, and now she's our operations manager. She was actually on BBC Radio Gloucestershire on Sunday saying that now we have more space, the guests are opening up more about what they need. They might want help with reading and writing, or they might want help with CVs, or they want to chat through things more because they're in a much better environment and more space, and there's a pool table and lovely showers. So I
suppose there's people there to listen to them as well.
Yeah, we got amazing. So we opened it on Christmas Eve and did Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day. Then we had 30 new volunteers that she trained, and we opened the second week of January. And so there are lots of volunteers around to sit and talk or colour or do activities or whatever. Some people are lonely, some people don't have they live on their own, they don't see anyone, and there's
lots of lonely people.
Ticks lots of boxes. Yeah.
Do you know what I didn't ask in Punchline years ago. Don't want to go off on a different tangent, but it was called loneliness in the workplace. It's all people working in big companies, but you can still be lonely. You can have hundreds of people around, you can still be lonely. And especially I think now with COVID, what will happen is that people will go back to work. Their old friends and colleagues might not be there anymore. They might be working different days. So people I don't think are so good at making friends.
No.
So much.
And actually, the more time people spend at home on their own, some people became almost agoraphobic. They actually were scared to go out and talk to people. It's affected everyone differently, hasn't it, really?
I think if you were working at boarding school, or you've been in boarding school and moved around like that, you end up like me, talking to everybody. To talk too much to people. You can sit next to me on a plane or a train going, oh my God, shut up.
I was just thinking that this morning. I was thinking, I hope whoever sits next to me, because I'm going away tomorrow, I hope they don't talk to me, because I really need to not talk from tomorrow for a week.
It's funny you say that, because I've actually stopped talking to people on planes and trains and stuff. I just put my earphones in, please leave me alone. Maybe because I talk too much. Anyway, right, so you're the Junior Warden of the Honourable Company of Gloucestershire, which I practiced 3 times to say that right. We are running out of time. What is that?
It's a livery company, really, that promotes Gloucestershire and tries to help people in Gloucestershire. So we've got a big mentoring scheme. and we work with the Community Foundation, and about 11 of our members mentor people that are working in charities. And we also have a trust fund, and we've given away about £220,000 in 12 years to different small charities generally. I mean, you know, if you're a big charity and you apply, you won't get anything. But if it's a small charity, we don't give generally more than about £1,000. But you know, that can make a difference to a small charity. So we like to go out and visit things in the county, and anything that promotes Gloucestershire really, and any help. If people come to us and say we need some help with this or advice, we would, you know, we'd find the person for the job that would help someone.
Now, the other thing you do is also play the saxophone. I've
Yes.
seen various bars on IV and people playing away. How often do you do that? How do you find the time, let alone anything else?
Well, you know, I taught the saxophone at Dean Close, and I was hoping in my retirement I'd get lots of gigs and I'd be playing everywhere. And of course it was COVID. But since then I like to play at weddings. I like to play that bit where you come out of the church and everyone's having their drinks and it's boring because all the photos are being done. I like to play that hour because you can play whatever you like, or when people are eating, great. Because you don't have to make people dance, or so I like to play as background music really. And I've played for about 3 weddings, and I play at the Albion Club in Cheltenham.
Okay, well, I've got to stop you there because we're coming into music then. So what is the CD that you've got in your car, or what is the last piece of music you bought?
Well, the CD in my car at the moment is "She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain When She Comes," because my 2-year-old granddaughter gets in the car and she goes, "Come in, come in." She likes to sing that song. The last thing I downloaded, I listen to Apple Music and I listen to charting hits. And then if something comes up that I like, then I save it into my playlist. And hopefully I'll listen to it.
I do exactly the same on gardening. Okay then, Julie, we've nearly run out of time, which is such a shame, but we can only do it up to half hour and a little bit over. What's your top 3 business tips, please?
Oh, I can't believe you're asking this because I'm hardly a businesswoman, am I? But
I think you're a far better businesswoman than perhaps you give yourself credit for.
Okay, first thing is be yourself. You know, if you try and be something else, people will see right through it. So I always say that, however crazy I am. Second, get out there and network. You know, it's no good moaning and saying, "Oh, we haven't got enough business." Get out there and talk to as many people as possible. And 3, the most important thing is your business must support a charity, because it's good for your team, it's good for the charity you're helping. People can see it's not all about money and that you do think about others. Obviously, I'm going to say that, aren't I? But luckily, the Gloucestershire businesses have supported all the charities I'm involved in. So thank you to you all.
I'm not surprised. Julie Kent, MBE, thanks for joining Punchline Talks. Always great to see you. Thanks for your time. And congratulations as well on raising so much money and doing such a great job for the county. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, yes, if you like the show, please like, share and subscribe. Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye.